I call the meeting to order. If you all will please stand and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for an invocation to be given by Councilman Darren Brock.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to you tonight. We thank you for the city, Lord. We just thank you for our citizens that are concerned enough about our city to make it a better place. Lord, we just ask for your wisdom this evening. We just ask for your guidance, Lord. We just ask that all the decisions we make bring glory to you. And, Lord, we just ask for your overcoming influence on everything we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Roll call, please.
Linda Shimko.
Here.
Jerry Foley.
Here.
Eric Schein.
Here.
Darren Brock.
Here.
Keith Williams.
Here.
Kendall Stuckey. Marty Latham.
Here.
Paula Allred.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Next item on the agenda, old business and ordinance adopting the City of Lowell 2010 Master Street Plan and for other purposes.
Well,
I'm going to get him next. Amen. Any comments from the council?
Mr. Mayor, I don't believe that we need to approve this as it's planned. I think we saw a significant show of people tonight that were concerned with the dead ending of Monroe Street there, and I don't desire to go forward with that at all this evening.
Selena?
Mr. Mayor, as you know, the Planning Commission unanimously voted, or 6-1, I should say, voted to pass this with a due pass recommendation to you tonight to dead end with the Master Street Plan to dead end Monroe at Oak, and with a provision that the Planning Department come back to us within 60 days with the proposal for an alternate route to not have traffic flow onto Oak.
Thank you. Any other comments from the council?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I just don't feel that leaving that option open even for 60 days, I feel that we need to wait for 60 days to see what the Planning Commission brings forward to us before we can make an answer on that.
Any other comments?
I'd just say I would tend to agree with Eric. I mean, right now we got the street where it goes all the way through. We're looking at this proposal to say, okay, well, all right, let's change it to say we're not going to go right through. We don't like that, so let's come up with another plan, but just go ahead and make this change. Well, I don't think you paint half the car trying to decide what color you want it to be. I don't like it just to dump into the neighborhood. You know, the street does need to go through either through there or through somewhere else, and without a better option, I don't want to lose the option that we currently have on the plan.
Absolutely.
Paula?
I have some. I think there's issues, obviously, with how that traffic's going to flow through those neighborhoods. But I guess one of the things that really struck me is when Mike indicated the need for, emergency services through those neighborhoods, and that's something that I think, regardless of the traffic flow, I think that's going to happen either way for the protection of the people in those neighborhoods, and also for Mike's team so they can get in there and do their jobs.
Once again, we're not even discussing that end. We're discussing the other end where it's terminating there at Oak Street. Mm-hmm. And, like I said last time around, I am in agreement that the fire trucks and the ambulances and the police cars need to have a way to get to Green Acres Road. We need an access route for them to get there, to do their job in the most expedient way possible, because of the fact that in their line of work, every second counts. But on the flip side, I can't see giving up the only traffic outflow of this that's not a small, narrow residential street, North Oak will not accommodate the traffic flow that we have predicted to be in this, coming into this neighborhood. We have a major collector coming in, and if you can understand the fact that if you flow traffic in, it's got to go out. And where is it going to go out to? If this neighborhood doesn't have enough volume to be a major collector just for one neighborhood. So we're talking about more traffic flow than just this one neighborhood. And also, we're talking about putting a destination place at the end of it with this first tee. We're talking about putting a parking lot there. So we're enticing people to now drive through the subdivision to get to the parking lot. That's even more traffic. So with that being said, I absolutely cannot see us going forward without having at least some avenue of relief going out of there that's not to North Oak.
My other concern, obviously, too, is I feel like we've got, First Tee that is coming in and willing to put in, a tremendous facility here in Lowell. And I feel like the longer we wait, we do lose the possibility of the city gaining that benefit. And, and that's something we need to consider. I thought Harold brought up a great point about some other possibilities as far as slowing down traffic, and that's a whole nother issue. But at this point, I think, it is a street plan, not we are definitely going to move forward with this. And I think we need to bear that in mind as well, too, because if we don't pass that plan, that delays First Tee from being able to come in and take care of putting in their facilities and proceeding with their plans as well.
Just to put this in perspective, if it was to go straight through there, it'd go straight through something they're planning to build. If it was to go the route around, like the way I proposed to the Planning Commission, it would go through things that they're planning to build. So we need to have a plan that's passed before we give it to them so they can put together a plan to propose. As it is right now, our past street plan goes right through the middle of the parking lot. Right now, if we go forward with what we plan, it will go through a part of what they're planning and do away with what their thoughts are. If we go with their plan, then we have no avenue of exiting that subdivision from that side.
Well, and I think that's the purposes of the 60-day study, is to determine a southern route.
Right.
And that's why I feel like the plan, we all know that it does probably need a dead end, at the park, and then determine what an appropriate southern route would be.
Once again, I don't feel comfortable with going forward with anything until, they give us 60 days. I'm saying let's table this for 60 days when they come back with their proposal. And I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that. Yeah, my thoughts as far as the First Tee issue, they approached us for this land. We've agreed to a lease with them, or however we're doing that. And all that time, this road was planned on going through there. So they're asking for a change now because they want to do it with a different plan. But I don't think leaving the current plan in place until we decide on something better is something that runs them off, because that's how it's been up to now. They approached us with that plan already in place, that is the master street plan. And they still came and they said, we would like to work out a deal for this land. So I don't think that's a deal breaker to say, well, no, we're not going to change it for you, because they're asking for this. And I understand that they've got reasons to want to do that. But it wasn't this way when they approached it and liked it before. They're just finding ways that they would like to use it better.
And I realize that. But I think pretty much everybody's in agreement that the road can't go through the park. I mean, it needs to dead end at the park. And I think everybody's in agreement on that point. I think the only thing that's in flux is a possible secondary southbound route to get that additional traffic off of Oak.
I personally am in agreement. If we don't find another route better, I don't mind this going through the park, personally. But if I find something like better, I'd be happy to abandon it going through the park. But right now, that's the best thing I've seen until something else is feasible put in front of me. Right now, we have speculation and different things. Say, we can do this, we can do this. We haven't studied it. It's just thrown on the table tonight. And if I see something feasible, then I'd be willing to say, all right, well, let's abandon that. Right now, in my mind, that's still our best route to get another east-west route through here, because we know, one has been all we've had for a long time, taken right in front of the school.
So as far as from, just to make sure I'm clear, both of you feel like going through the park is the best option for the city?
I'm not speaking for Eric, but at this point, that's
for
the best thing
yourself,
I've
though,
seen.
you feel like going through the
Until I
park?
see a better option.
Okay.
I'm certainly willing to look at a better option.
I absolutely agree that we have to have a relief route. And not only do I know that from my standpoint of view, but I walked these streets and I talked to these citizens. And I had people say, I'm not a registered voter. And I said, I don't care. You're a citizen of Lowell. I still represent you. And I had so much of an outpouring of people that are frustrated that they're even considering dumping this traffic at Oak Street.
Okay. But I guess what my question is, do you feel like, are you in
Absolutely.
agreement with,
I think I firmly agree
with Darren that it needs to go through the park?
Yes, we can do many things to prevent people getting in that street. We can put fences, we can put dirt berms, we can do all kinds of things to prevent people from getting to that street from the parks, and take preferred routes with an overhead walk path or some kind of crossing or something. We can do many things to allow that traffic to get back and forth that will reduce the ability for the kids in that neighborhood to have cars going up and down their roads that are at minimal width. Right now, North Oak is at minimal width. If you park 2 cars on North Oak, it's almost impossible to pass.
Well, I would be interested in hearing what the rest of the council members feel like is, because to me, that's truly our question here is, do we want the road to run through the park or not? And I think the rest of the council members need to speak up and how they feel about this.
Based on the Planning Commission's recommendation of a due pass, the question is, do we or do we not want the street to go through the park, period?
I think the Planning Commission has said they do not.
And that's my point. I feel like it's a bad idea.
However, I don't know if First Tee has the information they need to go ahead with their plans, because we're also proposing a alternative route on the western side of the park that goes down and alleviates traffic. So I'm not sure if that's enough information. Anything that First Tee needs, that if we can improve something tonight that gets them going, I think we need to do. Do we approve the master street plan? I don't know if that's the correct thing, but if there's anything that we can do to help First Tee out with their plans.
I don't think the proposal on the little 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper is to be considered tonight. It's never been brought before anybody.
Mr. Mayor, you
It's
asked me
a
for what my
move
plan
that-
was at the last council meeting, and so I brought you a plan.
You never brought me anything.
I got it right here for you if you want it.
But anyway, I think the objective is to vote yes or no on the recommendation made by the Planning Commission. Now, the road beside it, that's one thought. There may be other ways.
We do have a
can't-
motion and a
Yes.
second on the floor.
I'd like to call the question.
Pardon?
I'd like to call the question. We've got a motion on the floor
Okay, what is it?
to table this for 60 days.
Waiting on the new
Do I
proposal.
hear a second?
We
It's
already
already
have
a
a second.
Sorry, in a second.
Roll call, please.
Linda Shimko,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Jerry Foley,
No.
Keith Williams,
No.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Marty Latham. No. Kendall Stuckey,
No.
Paula Allred.
No.
Motion fails. Well, does that need a 2/3?
Motion to table fails.
I think what we need to do, I'll be honest with you, I'm not actually for sure really how to approve a plan that's really not done by the Planning Commission. I mean, they approved the street that does not go across, but I know they're also looking at the southern route, or the other route behind or parallel to North Oak. I wish that was in front of us tonight, but it's not.
Unfortunately, I feel like we've totally got off course here. I respect everyone coming out and appreciate their opinions, but we were voting tonight, I thought, if we were going to take the road through the park, and that's it. And we're looking at everything on the moon. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't address those down the road, but tonight we were looking at one area.
Actually, I think we're looking at the whole plan.
No, the whole plan, this plan has been the same except for two items, that road and the road over there off school. That's what we talked about the last council meeting. So I came prepared to talk about those issues, and we start talking about a road that's been there for, 10 or 15 years, proposed that way anyway. So I don't really have an opinion on that road today as it sits. I have an opinion on what we're doing in the park. And I feel like there should not be a road to the park, bottom line.
And I think that's what everybody came out here for. Everybody that was here before that spoke, that's still here, I know would still be inclined to come back up here and say the same thing. That they would rather not have us say there's not going to be any relief at the end of the intersection with Oak and Monroe. They've signed the petition. I've got plenty of signatures that you guys can witness. There's usually on the average one person per household has signed those petitions. And I've got roughly about 75 signatures just from that neighborhood alone. And the petition says, and I'll quote, "I do not desire to have East Monroe terminate at North Oak Street as currently proposed on the master street plan that came before the City Council on August 17, 2010, and the latest release August 23, 2010. That's what the citizens signed, that they do not want the road just to terminate at that point. And this is directly affecting their neighborhood. We didn't talk about the other side of Monroe. They were giving you their concerns completely. They were giving your entire thoughts. But the main focus that they came out here tonight was to say what we're proposing now has them just as upset as they were 6 years ago.
Selena?
Mr. Mayor, just to clarify something Mr. Williams said, the Planning Commission is not proposing that road east of Oak to run parallel to Oak. We're proposing that we do respond to the concerns of the citizens and direct the planning department to come up with an alternate that can be part of the plan to not dump that on. Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Any other comments? I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading by title only.
Why do we have to go through a third and final reading on the first time?
It's a very controversial topic to jump past all the readings.
I mean, we put things on first, second, and third readings so people can come and voice their concerns. I think you can see just tonight the amount of concern that is on the street.
I think I'm okay with the first reading. I think, and I want all the citizens to know we're going to have to address that. And it sounds like we're working on an issue. We're working on the solution for this. I think right now the only thing we're approving is just a minor adjustment to the street plan, and then we're looking to go ahead and start working forward and for a solution of dead ending it right there. And so we are moving ahead. We are going to find a solution to not dumping traffic there and just leaving it. We're going to find a solution. I think tonight what we're doing is just one change, and there's going to be more to come. I think that's what you guys are working on in the Planning Commission. This is just one step in getting this whole thing resolved, and I think that's, if we look at it that way, we can approve this. Nothing's set in stone anyway. We could change this whole plan next week, but the truth of the matter is this is just one step. We can revise it in 60 days and have that street on there, have it all worked out, and I think this will allow First Tee to go ahead and continue on with their plans, but they also need to be aware of what's being planned or what could be or what's being proposed running that eastern street running through there. But I agree we need to do something, and I don't know if I feel okay with approving this tonight because we're removing that one section, because I know as a council and I know as a planning commission we're going to do the right thing, and we are actually going to build that. We are going to not build it. We're going to show that street, or we're looking at showing that street running to the east of North Oak. We're not going to do something that we're not going to leave that off. I think we're looking into that.
I'd like to accept that, but I just want to remind you that we're getting close to the end of the year, and this is election year. So what we do right now can change easily after January 1st. And that's why I want to make sure that we don't have anything that we already planned and give it away and give that plan up before we have another plan.
In 60 days, we all should be here in 60 days. And
I don't disagree with that, but I think that we should continue to have a plan from now until 60 days when they come back with an alternative plan.
my only concern is holding up construction and the large
I'm
scale.
okay with holding up construction with the safety of our citizens. And it doesn't matter what
I
that
agree with you.
construction is, as long as we're looking at the safety of our citizens.
I agree. We
that
all should be
always
looking
comes
at
first.
that. However, we are doing that, and I guess that's my only concern is, if we hold up and lose this project, we really didn't gain anything. But we are working on looking at that street, and that's what we are doing. We are looking at adding that street to the street plan, but we have to look at it, find out where it's going to go.
It's not
And I'm not
only-
arguing with you because I really do. I like your plan and I like what you're doing.
It's not only First Tee, it's the senior center also. And, Jerry?
Thank you. I tend to agree with Keith. This will be the hardest decision I have made since I've been on this council, based upon the feelings of the public, and I can certainly sympathize with all the things that they have brought up tonight. And going toward the plan, since we need to make a move, that's for certain. Apparently, we don't want to run this road through the park. If we leave the master street plan as it's written right now, as my understanding, it will go through the park. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay. So at that point, I'd like to make a motion based upon Planning Commission's recommendation of due pass on first reading at this time.
And understand that the first reading does not approve this and doesn't pass this. This is just a first reading.
That's
we can
correct.
do a second reading. We can do a third reading. And, until the third reading, it does not get approved. And I'm going to challenge the planning staff to work diligently to get something put on paper and maybe revise this plan even sooner. I don't know if the Planning Commission would be interested in seeing it in 30 days.
The sooner the better.
But I think we need to really work as quickly as we can to show an alternate route so traffic does not get dumped on the end of Monroe. That there is something there, and that's my challenge to the Planning Commission. And as a council, I think we need to, put it on first reading. We don't need to approve this tonight, and we need to allow the Planning Commission time to really look at this.
Was
Marty?
This drawing from First Tee,
Yes.
First Tee and the senior, is this their final plan? This is how they want it?
Yes. This is not solely First Tee's idea. This is a combination of the city, First Tee, and the senior center. Everybody wants to talk about First Tee, but senior center is involved in this also. Without the golf course, senior center can't hack it. I can tell you.
I would.
Senior center will be over.
The one comment that I want to make that I just want to be clear about is First Tee did not come to the city and ask for this change to be made. The city, we made the change and went to them, and the renderings they did were based. I mean, there are two renderings there, one with the road going through the park and one without. They're just trying. they're looking at it from both ways. I think there's some advantages to them to have it with it going under. I think there's more advantages for the senior center. There's more room for growth, for them to grow the senior center, which was one of the concerns. When we first started talking about the senior center, it was 2,500 square feet. The next time we met, they said that it needed to be 5,000 square feet because they want to run Meals on Wheels out of it. And in order to do that, we needed to put them on a place where they could grow. So that was why, and you can see both renderings over there and see, but I don't want there to be a misconception that First Tee came and asked us to do this. This was a safety decision for the kids and the seniors that are going to be walking that park and doing that, and that's what we were looking at. This was a safety issue for the people that enjoy Ward Nail Park, and it was nothing more than that.
Well, can I say something real quick? In St. Louis, there is a beautiful kids museum. It's a kids science museum. Across the way, there is an air and space museum and botanical gardens and a large parking lot. What connects the two is a large pedestrian walkway. No kids have ever been run over, as far as I have ever heard of, getting back and forth, with a 6-lane highway between them. I've been there many a times. I'm saying that we can do things to keep the safety at an all-time high.
And Eric, I think that's wonderful, but we're not St. Louis.
I'm not saying we're St. Louis. I'm just saying we can put a walkway over a 2-lane road anytime we want, because that's not a big deal.
And I don't know financially what the cost is, but I think that's something that realistically has to be considered.
Point, please. There is motion on the floor.
I do have
Second it.
I do have a question, though. I also heard some concerns just talking to people out in the audience about concern just access from the north to the First Tee. I don't know if there's if we've been looking at maybe building a road on the if we're going to run a road on the west side of the park, are we looking at is there an option to run it all the way up to the north to McClure? I don't know, but I heard concerns about that also. So I don't know if the Planning Commission wants to look at that.
I have a question. Crafton Toll is donating their engineering time to these people. They have set the time aside now to do it. Are you all saying that we're to go back to them and say, you all reschedule, wait at least 60 days before we know whether this can be built or not?
Yes.
That's the question.
Crafton told the Lowell citizens? Yes.
I need some kind of guidance, I guess. What am I supposed to do?
I would say yes.
I don't know. I just need another plan before I'm willing to go with this. This is saying we don't want to do that, but we don't know what we want to do. I need a better plan. I'm a little more concerned after hearing Michael saying we're going to run Meals on Wheels out of here with the only in and out through the neighborhood. Okay. Oh, Michael didn't say that.
We do have a motion.
Was there a second?
Nobody seconded it.
This is, like Jerry said, one of the hardest decisions because I certainly have the sympathy of the people that live in that subdivision. Grant you, we've always known Monroe would go through, but the argument several years ago was that it would go just straight on through, therefore it didn't throw problems onto Oak Street. I never liked the idea of running a major road through a city park. But if you remember when we bought that land, originally it was going to be a step system. It was going to be a sewer thing.
A leach field.
A leach field, there you go. So a road going through a leach field was not a huge problem. A road going through a city park that's becoming used as much as this one is a problem. Obviously going over is way, way more than we can afford to look at doing right now. Mike brought up the Meals and Wheels. that's going to be some serious traffic. Their best route is going to be straight down Monroe and not taking the Oak exits. However, when you look at the traffic that's going to be coming down North Oak anyway just to access this, we're going to be dealing with some increased traffic anyway, and so the suggestions about the traffic bumps and anything that you can do to slow down traffic, I have a lot of sympathy about what I heard about kids playing in the street. I have grandchildren. I live in a subdivision that doesn't have sidewalks. Joe will tell you that I've called often, as I know Guy Schumacher has when he was here, to slow people down in the neighborhood because they zipped through. And I don't have a through street. I just have one where people, it's a circle, but no sidewalks. I finally gave up and pulled the kids out of the street. You know, I said, no, you can't ride your bikes in the street because it's just not safe. Unfortunately, that's something I think that we all have to deal with. And when traffic becomes a problem, we've got to look after our kids by pulling them out of the street and don't let them get out there to ride. The good thing about that neighborhood is they can get to this park to ride. Over where I am, there's no way to get to the park. This is a real catch-22. I don't want to see a road through this park. I really don't. I never did want to see a road through a park. I don't want to see Oak overused. It's too small. It's too narrow. This is a really catch-22, and until we have an alternate plan about how to move traffic in and out of here, I really think they might need to rethink about blocking this off so that if it's an option, if we can't come up with a better option, if they could move this around a little bit to leave the road area so that we could get a road if that ends up being our only option, and we can't find a better way to move traffic.
If we can't find a better way to move traffic, we will take it through the park. We will have to. We have no other choice.
We obviously have to
very simple.
Our police and our fire truck. We need to do the Monroe part of it. That's obvious.
Yeah, nobody's even discussing that, right?
That's not what we're talking about.
No.
We're just.
And we would be foolish not to take this opportunity for First Tee and for the area aging and the senior citizens. We have got to find a way to make it work. Now then, what I need to know at this point, Mike, you said they had how much funding?
$750.
He said they had roughly half their money.
Well, yeah, $700,000 out of
$750,000 of the $1.1 million they needed. They had $750,000. 1.1.
Marty?
750 of 1.1?
Yeah.
One thing I also want to make sure we have a point of, as Mike said, that there's already a drawing of them with the road going through as is currently planned. As the Master Street currently sits, they are okay with this. It was the city that came back and asked them to redraw it.
I realize that, but the issue too is a major road through a park.
But the issue is we don't need to make a decision tonight on this because of the fact that we're making a decision of we don't know. That's not a decision. A decision is when you lead and you have a plan. What we're talking about is leading without a plan and hoping that in 60 days we have one. And then they're going to turn this over to engineers to draw up something that we very well may change in 60 days. That would be a waste of engineering time, and that, I think, would really upset the engineers more than asking them to hold off for 60 days. I think that would really be a spit in the eye of anybody that is donating time, of saying, okay, we changed our mind, can you redraw it again?
Long-term, a park is intended for children to play, and they're going to cut across that street one way or another, regardless, I think, of how you design that. I think you can put up fences and you can do some things to prevent that. But long-term, with a street through a park, I just think it's a bad idea. And I don't disagree that we need to determine the other plan, but I think long-term running a street through a park is just a bad idea. I mean, some of these streets where they don't have sidewalks, just like Marty said, you don't allow your children to play in the street. A park is designed for children to play. And I guess I feel like long-term it's a very poor call on our part to say, well, we'll run a street through there and put up fences to prevent them from getting out there. I just don't think long-term for a good park plan, just like in Springdale, they shut down the street that they originally had cut through the park.
And I agree. I'm just saying, give me the other plan before you ask me to make a decision.
Mr. Mayor, we have some citizens who are very concerned about this.
I feel sure.
Well, and I think because you have children out there playing in the park as opposed to a street.
They have to cross the road to get to the park anyway. They come down from Fleur, cross that road to get to the park. I think road through the park, it's not the best idea, but you can't say it's a bad idea when the kids are crossing the road anyway to get to the park. You're talking about increasing the traffic through there. You have to cross our road to get to the park again. They don't just snap the fingers into the park.
Well, can I comment on you? Well, I think I agree with the kids that live in the surrounding neighborhoods, but what about the kids across town, north, south, and out west? Their parents are probably going to take them there, I would assume, and so they'd be supervised getting to the park. That'd be the only comment I would add to that.
I agree with that. Like I said, I look out my window and see the people coming to the park, and they come to the local neighborhood also.
But when you're walking there, you're looking for traffic. When you're in the park, you're there to play. And that's,
You can justify that? That's amazing.
Ma'am, you're talking about putting a turn lane in the road all the way up through. So you're crowding traffic to the outer edges of the curb with kids from walking from there to the park. So you're in the main place to get to the park. There's no sidewalks. You move the traffic to the outer edge of the turn lane. How do they get there?
Mr. Mayor, I don't know if we're going to resolve anything tonight, so I would like to move that we table this item until the next
I would
meeting.
like to make one statement before you do. There's been some talk about making a road on the east side of the park by the golf course. There is not enough room to put a road there. This space now is the minimum they can put in their facilities. So I think if you want to run a road down the west side of that park, you've got to decide, do we want the road or do we want First Tee and the senior center?
You bet. Unfortunately, that's not the decision we're making tonight. That's the research that's supposed to be done in the next 60 days. So,
Thank you, sir.
That may be true, but that's what you all are talking about. That's what your proposal shows.
what Eric proposed.
Your alternate shows a road there. It's not going to work.
I showed you an idea. I never said it was the idea, and that was how I started it in the Planning Commission. It is a idea. It's just because of the fact that when we talked last time, you said, what was my proposal? If there's different proposals, what was my proposal? I came up with one. As if I can come up with one, we can come up with many more.
Good. I hope so.
Great. And I'd like to see that when we table this for 30 days. I'd second Keith's
Do I hear a second to Keith's motion?
There's a motion to table.
Do I hear a second to Keith's motion to table it? Got it? Roll call.
Darren Brock.
Yes.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Paula Allred.
yes.
Marty Latham.
Yes.
Linda Shimko.
Yes.
Was that a yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Jerry Foley.
Yes?
Kendall Stuckey.
Yes.
Eric Schein.
Yes.
This is tabled until the next regular council meeting.
Which is when? When's that?
Right now, it's scheduled for the 21st.
21st of,
Well, we're going to be right
I thought
where
we
we're at
canceled that.
today.
Oh, I'm just saying. I want to clarify. That's
Actually, I'm going to ask you to explain it to us.
September 21st.
it's our next regular meeting.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is refinancing the improvement bond. Kevin Fott from Stevens Incorporated will talk to us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you tonight. Not sure I picked the best night. I hope you all are in a good mood to talk about this.
We're sorry.
No, not a problem on my end, but I appreciate you allowing me to be here. I think you might have a copy of the letter that the mayor and I discussed about a week and a half ago now. The Series 2005 capital improvement bonds have been callable since June of 2010 of this year, obviously. We were the original underwriters, Stevens Inc., on those bonds. We've been watching those, probably since actually about March to see if they were, if we could refund those for any economic savings. Rates have been kind of jumping up and down and throughout most of the year, and have dropped significantly probably in the last month or so. So what I approached the mayor with this, when I approached the mayor with this letter last week. At that time, the potential savings were $150,000, with about $110,000 occurring in the first 2 years. That's assuming rates hold. And I asked the mayor to come as soon as I could to one of your meetings, just simply because interest rates move on a daily basis, and felt like if this was enough savings for the council to move forward, that we ought to move as quickly as possible. So. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. There is a resolution in front of you as well that would allow us to do what we need to do to start moving forward and preparing the documents in anticipation of refunding these bonds. And as I pointed out in the letter, the city's under no obligation for any fees incurred on our part or on the bond council's part if and until we actually refund the bonds. So I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
What is the cost to do this? I mean, is there a fee on the front side that we obviously there's a quick ROI on this, but I'm just curious what the cost is on the front side. Is that
no upfront costs. All the cost of issuance associated with this would be paid out of the
be financed in?
Yes. So
what is that? Just curiosity.
I told the mayor we actually discussed that today. I estimated about 2% total cost of issuance. Our fee, we talked about 1.5%. Bond council fee, in around $25,000 range or so. But the $150,000 savings that I referenced in that letter is net of all those costs. So.
And I didn't understand what you said. I'm having a hard time hearing.
I'm sorry.
150,000 what?
The $150,000 savings associated with refunding this, that is net of any costs associated with this. So there's no fees to the city necessarily. That's in the bond, figured in the bond issue.
So we're looking at probably around 45. Is that the number that you said? 45,000 to
roughly for the underwriter's fee, which is to Stevens, and then there's bond counsel fees, any kind of printing costs, those sort of things. Again, the total cost of issuance. Forgive me. Total cost of issuance. I calculated, and again, this was just a rough estimate. About a week and a half ago, about $72,000 total.
2,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, this doesn't affect the master street plan or anything, does it?
No, absolutely not.
Then I will move for a due pass.
Do I have a second, please?
I still have a question.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
$2,000 that you're talking about, we still realize the savings of $150,000?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear all that.
The $72,000 Is it not on?
No, it was not.
Are you saying, again, the 150,000 savings was net of any cost
That's
associated
net.
with it? Yes, ma'am.
The
Mhm.
72,000 is
Correct.
included, that is net.
Yes, ma'am.
We would actually come out with that.
Yes, ma'am. And again, keep in mind, those were the estimated savings 10 days ago. We've had some movement, and interest rates move daily, so they can go up, they can go down. I'll have a better idea when we get to the offering date. And that's something that obviously I would communicate with the mayor and the staff as to whether the savings were at a levels that you all would be comfortable with.
And we'll incur no cost.
No, ma'am. Not until we offer the bonds.
Okay.
And
No
commit to
out-of-pocket cost.
Yes, that's right.
Right, no,
There you go.
No, I mean, if you can't get a better issue, we incur no additional cost.
Right. I mean, we would obviously.
You'll look at that,
Right.
and it won't cost us
Right.
anything.
The interest rates aren't locked in until we offer, and so that offering date is it depends on how fast we can move. There's some information we have to get from the city if you all agree or ask us to move forward tonight. So I anticipate we'll offer in about 3 weeks, hopefully. And again, time is not necessarily on our side with refundings. If this is an agreeable savings amount, I would suggest we move as quickly as we can. But again, the interest rates are locked on the day we offer, and we'll know the savings at that time.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Right.
Roll call, please.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Paula Allred,
Yes.
Eric Shine,
yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Linda Shimko,
Yes.
Keith Williams,
Yes.
Kendall Stuckey.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Your feet tonight,
Yeah.
Kevin.
I believe you earned it.
Right.
Next item on the agenda is appropriation of funds, transfer of $500,000 from the street department funds budgeted for Dixieland Street improvements to the Monroe Street improvement budget for the purpose of construction of Monroe Street as planned.
So is this just money left over after we got Dixieland finished? Okay. I move we approve the appropriation.
Second. After hearing what Chief had to say, I have to go.
Roll call, please.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Linda Shimko,
Yes.
Kendall Stuckey,
Yes.
Paula Allred,
Yes.
Keith Williams,
Yes.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Marty Latham.
Yes.
This will be appropriation memo number 12-2010.
We had our final meeting today with the utility companies, and with you all's voice vote of approval, we will go out for bids to construct this section of road next week.
Okay.
Anybody in favor?
Yeah.
Which road was that? Sorry.
Through the
Monroe.
from Lincoln Street to Brandon.
Okay.
Okay.
Mayor, you're putting this 500 transfer. Is there any else to go with it? Do we have budgeted money for that?
Pardon?
Do we have money already budgeted besides this for Monroe?
We think we can build it for $500,000.
Is the property in our possession right now?
We have the right-of-way through the Pearson Trader Park signed. I'm going in the morning to Allen Canning to get the others, and we're ready. Next item on the agenda is an affidavit for shredding records from 2005 and 2006. Mary? This is kind of a housekeeping. Did anybody have any questions of Mary?
So this street, will it? Oh, never mind. Just kidding.
It's a dead-end road for the affidavits.
Sorry.
We just need to get rid of some of these records. They have all been audited, and we have held them for 3 years. That's the requirement.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the affidavit for shredding of records.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
It was.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Kendall Stuckey,
Yes.
Paula Allred,
Yes.
Linda Shimko,
Yes.
Keith Williams,
Yes.
Eric Shine.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait a second. Well, we will need one councilman to sign this affidavit
Pardon?
in front of a notary.
Okay.
Whoever made the motion.
I know.
Made the motion, I'll do it.
Move for adjournment.
What'd she say?
She needs someone to sign it.
Really?
Go find Mary.
I got to give some hugs first.
Really, you spoke 3 times.
Yeah, I moved to adjourn. I moved to adjourn. If we're waiting on a move.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.